And unsurprisingly, a lot of the Western media and Western news outlets are towing the party line as well in terms of not really speaking that much about the fact that Turkey has actively been involved in funding and training and allowing of jihadist forces.
And tonight, as it stands, if you stand back from this, look at the basic headline of it, a NATO member shooting down a Russian plane, by all accounts, not on its territory. Okay, 1 kilometre, maybe that's a fact. When a jet's moving fast, it could have been a mistake. Yeah. That will only come out in the fullness of time. But it's a very serious story with very serious ramifications coming.
I mean, you have to think to yourself, yeah, it may have made an incursion into Turkish territory. Look what's happened. It was shot down over a hostile territory. 2 pilots reportedly been shot to death as they parachuted down by rebel forces on the ground. What was that worth? As in, what was the point in that? You're shooting down an aircraft and you're killing the 2 pilots, or allowing them to parachute into rebel territory.
Just to reiterate again, President Putin confirming earlier on that plane at the time it was shot down was, he says, 1 kilometre inside the Syrian side of it, not on the Turkish side of it.
Yeah, I know, but my point is, even if it had made an incursion, is it worth causing all this trouble?
Well, that's a question a lot of sane people I think will be asking tonight, and the ramifications of this, as I said, are going to be pretty big, I think, and we'll get more over the coming hours and days, Colin. All right, thanks.
Okay, that's Ray. So I'm sure, as most of everybody knows, the whole world knows, that at 9:20 a.m., I guess the time zone that Syria and Turkey is in, there was a Russian pilot, a fighter jet that was shot down by Syrian rebels. And apparently, according to all the news that's coming out, because it happened about 6 hours ago, it's actually Turkish funded or Turkish supported rebels. And now they're coming out and speaking against Russia and Russia's infiltration of Syria, regardless of the fact that the Syrian government has welcomed Russia to try to basically put a lid on the bullshit that's going on over in the Middle East now. And I saw the exact time frame, and since yesterday, of perfect timing, I guess, that's a really fucked up way to say it, I guess, I started getting more into charting mundane astrology charts, and I hate to say that I'm taking advantage of this opportunity, because this is a really, really fucked up thing. I've even seen, if anybody is familiar with 4chan, my boyfriend is always surfing on there and looking at weird crap or whatever. And there's a particular forum area on there where they have been posting a lot of fucked up shit lately, where you're pretty much getting a live, uncensored view of the terrorist activity that's been going on lately. And this isn't the first thing that's been up there. But so I saw the actual body of the Russian pilot, the poor guy that was shot out of his plane and then was shot down while he was descending on his parachute. They had that footage up there too, and then it was taken down. But anyway, besides the fucked up shit of the whole situation, I happened to graph out a chart. It's a pretty alarming chart. It'll be evident what's going on here, because most people understand T-square is bad, to say the least, stressful, challenging, conflicting. And so this is what I have here. I'm actually going to clip the actual chart itself that I mapped out in my software. But I just drew up here really quick on my board, just so you can see what's going on here. And I wrote down a couple of keywords because I haven't covered the planets yet in mundane astrology and what they represent. So I kind of just jotted down some keywords here that you get to see. So basically what we have going on here is that Pluto was almost directly on top of the ascendant. And so this is obviously set for the Syrian area, but this is essentially the actual event time for the Russian pilot jet to go down. So with Pluto being on the ascendant, and essentially it was actually in the first house, it would represent obviously it represents the people, but with Pluto being there, it represents a mob mentality, corruption, terrorism, power struggles, war, and death. Oh, and that's the associated terms if there's a hard aspect going on, which I don't even have to reiterate that this is obviously a hard aspect here. We have Uranus here in the third house, and third house represents, it's the Gemini house, so transportation, and specifically with Mundane, it has to do with air transport, trains, and then if it's badly aspected with Uranus being here, it could represent air transport, explosions, travel accidents, protests, and lawlessness, which now, according to recent developments with the story, they are now holding the body of one of the Russian pilots hostage. So they shot them down, killed them, and now they're just coddling the body for ransom, and hoping to exchange the body for living rebels, which I don't even understand. I don't even get it. And then we have Moon in the fourth house. Fourth house in mundane astrology represents, as I said on my other video, the opposing political party. So essentially, assuming again that this chart is for the Russian plane, the opposing party right now in this time frame would be Turkey, because Turkey is not only funding and supporting the rebels in Syria, but they're now siding with them and basically saying that Russia shouldn't have been doing what it was doing in the first place, which I'm not even gonna elaborate on that anymore, because I can't even. So with the moon being there, obviously representing the public opinion of Turkey, siding with ISIL and the terrorists. And then it was in direct opposition with the MC in Scorpio. And then, of course, it gets worse. We have, obviously, the third part of that T-square, which is Venus. So Venus, and it's in the ninth house. So ninth house has to do with foreign travel. It can also, just Venus itself, can represent diplomacy and just relation interactions. But when it's harshly aspected, it's negative, conflicting. I put anti-diplomacy, conflict, and then another aspect too that is a chart signature is if you have Venus and Mars conjunct together, which it's a couple of degrees off, but they're close enough together and they're in the same house that kind of signature causes significant discourse, conflict, and any kind of uncooperative, or to a certain degree with this T-square going on, violent behavior and just really barbaric interactions with each other. So pretty much I didn't even really have to elaborate on this. I could have just showed a clip of what has been happening and showed you this and said it's a direct translation of this chart. So I'll actually clip in the actual mapped out chart too, so you can see all the details on this. But these were just the major aspects that were going on. When you see in the chart, you will see that there's Neptune and Chiron in the second house in opposition with, obviously, Jupiter. That's that. And with the true node on the cusp line to the 8th and 9th house. It's just really some really screwed up things, and I guess in a way this was an easy example to understand. I'm not going to forget the things I saw on 4chan and all this stuff on the news and all this bullshit. And then coming across this chart right now, this will definitely be a vivid lesson with my mundane astrology mapping.